Why am I passionate about politics? I recently told a friend at brunch this week, I love it because it dictates how many restaurants are, or how many bathrooms are put into restaurants and who gets healthcare and the quality of that healthcare. It's literally anything and everything, and I have so many passions in so many areas that I get to really activate all of these different passions at different times and simultaneously to make a really big impact in an aggregate way, and I think that that's really fun. I don't have to pick a niche. I can change the world in any way I want on any given day based off of something that I'm really passionate for in that moment or what I've been passionate for decades, and I think that that's one of the beautiful things that I don't think a lot of people think about when it comes to politics. It's you get to play with everything, which I love.
How's that showing up in your life currently? I'd love to know more.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Like as I answer it?
Yeah.
How is it showing up in my life currently? Well, I think the number one thing that I'm focused on right now is supporting nonprofits and their growth. We have so many budget cuts happening locally, statewide, and nationally that I really focus on how do we make sure that the most vulnerable in our communities are still being served in meaningful ways. So I own my own firm called Verve Creative, which focuses on just nonprofits and political campaigns and really being the balance between those two. They're actually similar in a lot of ways. One is just much more hands-on, and the other one is ensuring there are funds for all of these causes in a lot of ways. So right now it's off season for politics. We'll pick up here really quick. I shouldn't say off season. You should vote every year, every day, every chance you can. But right now, in terms of campaigns, it's really focused on nonprofits and making sure that they have a strong volunteer base and a strong fundraising base so that they're supporting the people who need it most. And that's my current digs. And as we go into November, I'll be focusing much more on making sure that we put people in office who are able to make a really big impact with social justice, environmental justice, economic justice, and making sure that it's not all the weight for nonprofits to solve our world's problems, but that our highest leaders in government are a partner in supporting those people. So I kind of play with both polarities, and it's great. I love my job. I wouldn't be able to do anything else. I have no idea what I would do if I wasn't involved in these two things. So,
when did you start your company?
I started my firm after I managed Liz Brown's race for Columbus City Council. She successfully won and had a baby 2 weeks before Election Day. So we ran a hyper-pregnant campaign, and watching her was like so inspirational. I always worry about like when I have kids and my commitment to my career, and I gotta stand side by side with her and watch her go through her experience with such grace. Like she's just the coolest woman. So after that was 2015. So after fall 2015, I started trying to figure out what was next and opened up Verve kind of by accident. I just had a lot of people who asked for my support, and freelancing quickly grew into retainer-based work, and now I have an employee and subcontractors and all the things, and so it's been, 3 or 4 years maybe? So it's happening. It's going good.
What's next for you? Do you ever see yourself in a political position?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, I definitely love being able to be creating the messaging for all of these talking heads, whether they're politicians or nonprofit leaders. But I've always kind of pictured myself at like third grade level that I would be like President of the United States. And so I definitely would love to be a part of public office. It's not something I particularly want to do young, but it's definitely something I want to do at some point. Probably like immediate next steps. I'm getting married in June. So once that is off the plate, we're going to be looking at grad schools and trying to get a master's. I think it's really important to be as educated as possible when you have an opportunity to impact so many people. It shouldn't be just your personal experience, which is 100% necessary to effectively legislate or lead, for that matter, but you should have that polarity of the aggregate and the full picture, so that you're making decisions based off of your personal experience and what you know of reality outside of your own daily walk in life. So masters, that's going to come up next in the next few years, and we'll see what that ends up looking like.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
Michelle Obama. No, I get it from a lot of different places in some ways that are pretty surprisingly different. So like my stepdad, who I grew up with for the majority of my life, he owns a construction company, and my mom owned a dance studio while I was a kid, and she's now a musical theater director. So they were very hands-on people, and it's like amazing how much body movement impacts my brain and how I think about people's experience in the world and my experience. And you know, I was roofing with my dad as a kid in the summers, and I was laying concrete, and it's just funny to keep all of those different parts of my life uncompartmentalized as much as possible, because I tend to be pretty wonky, while also just wanting to go dance in the rain and like be a very artistic person like my mom. My dad was a video editor in Hollywood, and he edited Thriller, which is awesome, and I didn't know until I was like 20. I had no idea. That was just something he never decided to tell his daughter. So he like put the yellow in his eyes at the very end, which is like a classic thing. So I just have a lot of creatives and a lot of vocational type workers in my life, and them with like all of these like world leaders like Michelle Obama and Madeleine Albright, and I'm like really into Ocasio-Cortez right now. I think it's just fun to see how like no matter what area of life you come from or what your profession is, like there's so many lessons in every person's story, which is why I love that you, Nellie, if you don't know, I'm talking to Nellie,
Hi!
are putting this together, because everyone's story adds so much more richness to the fabric of our community, and I'm excited to hear them all, and I'm excited to participate. So thank you.
Of course. Do you feel like there's still a glass ceiling for women?
Yes. Big time. I notice it in my own personal life, pretty not a daily basis, but with every new client. It's amazing to see how much harder I choose to work in order to get a client to feel comfortable onboarded with me, which is fine. Like, I'm capable and competent, so I will. But I think also it starts at like a much younger level. I recently was a judge for an academic decathlon style event, and all the boys were so much better than all of the girls, and I had to check myself and be like, I shouldn't say all, the majority of boys and the majority of girls, but I had to check myself and say like, am I judging based off of gender because I feel like this boy is more of a leader because he happens to be a boy? And I was like, you know, I'm hyper conscious to all of these things. And after I made sure that I was being intentional, that I wasn't having an implicit bias against girls, I looked at it and realized like it's a confidence thing. Like there was this one girl in particular who would have gotten first place, but I had to score on presence. And she was by far the most brilliant. She caught nuances of her prompt more than anyone else. She like was a genius. She created this like mini slide deck based off of paper. She folded it in half and wrote this whole thing. So she had like a visual for me. I was like, you've had 30 minutes to prep this. And she got second place because she wasn't confident. And you're not confident, or I am not confident. Girls are not confident starting at puberty for a million reasons, both societal and like we're going through our body changes, and it impacts what we believe in ourselves, and that kills me. So it's like you not only have your own emotional intelligence that you have to overcome to be your best self as a woman, but then you have society's perception of you as a woman. And like, these are micro moments. Like, she got second place in this competition because she wasn't confident. And what did that boy get because he was? And how does that scale up over time to being a world leader or a business leader or feeling confident to start your own business? I mean, like, it's such a complicated subject where it's like there's a million touch points that affect a girl, and it only is compounded when you bring in race and gender also gender. Like, you know, if you have gender fluidity, but like, I think all of these things are complicated and interesting, and I think it's probably why I love the work I do, because it lets me play in all those spaces and try to figure out how do I navigate the complexity as me, an individual, and as me as somebody trying to support populations, like mass populations. So yeah, there's a glass ceiling. We have cracked it 1,000 times, but it is definitely not broken. And
how do we shatter it?
We do events like this. I mean, like, truly, there's 1,000 touch points. We're already seeing the impacts of 2016 and how that has extremely slowed female progress and extremely heightened it. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way. There's nothing about society that's linear. But I do think in order to shatter it, it takes a lot of women and men supporting girls' development in their education and their confidence, and doing everything we can to do what I did as a judge and check myself and say, okay, I know I'm really pro-women, okay? I know this. Am I judging this girl more harshly than the boy? Am I judging based off of gender? Do I have different expectations for either of them? And like, sit back and say, is this me, or am I being honest with this and trying to be as like true to the rubric as possible? And man, did I write like a long essay for her. You're not even supposed to write notes. And I was like, you would have won if you believed in yourself. Like, what is it gonna take? I like have no idea if she'll get it, but I'm like so frustrated and hurt by it. Like, confidence is the number one thing that I think pulls people out of their current environment. And I think that that's interesting. Like, you can have all of these societal factors against you, which we all do at varying degrees and levels. If you're like a super confident person, you're going to find ways to navigate and build trust faster than everyone else. I'm very clear that my business is much more successful than other businesses that started out at the same time because I present myself more confidently. It's not that I'm actually better than the woman next to me. It's that I walk in the room with a confidence that rivals a white straight man's. and sometimes that works, and sometimes, you know, I get called bossy and all the classic words we know that don't work. But overall, like, I make money because I'm confident, and that builds trust in my clients. And like, that's your secret sauce, which is terrifying. So how do we make that easier for girls and women to develop so that they can be their best selves and make an impact in the world and raise brilliant, beautiful kids and start their own businesses and ask for that promotion even though they're terrified, and say, you know what, I don't want to be a mom and you're 30, and I don't want to be your mom living at home. Like, I'm confident you'll be fine alone, and I'm going to go empty nest and travel because I'm 60 and I deserve it. You know, like, all of it plays into a really big story of our society and what we can do as women to make an impact. So
if a woman isn't feeling as confident as she feels like she's capable of, what would you say to her?
She's not as confident as she feels capable of.
Or wants to be.
I think if a woman wants to be more confident, she just needs to start with gratitude of what's working. Like, it is so easy to write down your list of all your flaws. At least it is for me. Like, I'm a what's in the gap person. Like, every day and every moment of my life. I'm like, how do I improve this, optimize this, strengthen this, make this more effective? All I want to do is look at the gaps and how to solve them. That's literally politics, right? So like, I'm a gap person, and it's really easy for me to find myself being ungrateful in these spaces or not appreciative of the things that we do have. And I think that that is absolutely part of our personal narrative as well. So like, yes, you can talk about all the problems with you, but you can also talk about like all the things that are really good with me. And that's actually the reverse psychology of it. It's not like I need to work on my confidence, so I need to improve, you know, how I look or how I talk, or I need to be smarter, or I need to, you know, not eat out as much so I have more money to do these things. Like, okay, we like have to and should to and need to and whatever. It really is just like, I'm really grateful that today I'm comfortable in my own skin. And okay, I'm really grateful that I'm aware that I'm not comfortable in my own skin. Okay, let's go one level deeper. Okay, I'm aware that I'm uncomfortable in my own skin, and I'm grateful that I have the knowledge to know that this is an issue. Like, let's just start where we're at and see where it goes. You know, there's so many days that I don't feel confident in my next step, and it doesn't really help by me pointing out all the right reasons why I'm not ready for it. It really helps for me to just say, I'm really grateful I'm here, and I got here somehow, and I'm not dead yet. And, you know, I'm really fortunate. I'm a white, straight woman in America. Like, my safety net with my family, like, my family's not well off, but we're not dead broke. And if I fall, I have a relatively safe landing pad. You know, like, how far can I really fall in America given my privilege and my status and my upbringing and my knowledge and my education? Like, when I think about that and the gratitude of the privilege and opportunity and grace that's been given to me, I'm really grateful I'm not as afraid. Like, it'll actually be fine. There's very few risks that we take where it won't be fine, at least we being, you know, people similar to me. So I can go do a business venture and know, okay, this might not work at all, and I might end up working at Arby's for a while, but like, you know what? I'm not going to get cancer because I tried this business venture. I'm not going to endanger anybody else in my life. I'm definitely going to end up like defaulting on some payments and student loans. Like, okay, like I know that that's solvable even though it's risky, but it's not impacting my well-being from a physical standpoint. Might be financial, but like, that's fine. Like, this is America, the place of opportunity and privilege, and we have a lot of fail-safes to allow us to innovate and invent and try and fail in a relatively safe space. I think for the majority of us, and I think for those of us who in my mind, I'm just thinking how many people don't have that luxury. And it's like, that's why I do the work I do. Like, I think everyone should be able to be creative and innovate and do something they love, and that's where we're going to get like the richness of our culture. And I will work every day until I feel like that basic fundamental right, literally human right, according to the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, is fun. Like, it's literally written into the UN that it's a human right to have fun. And I will work until the day I die to make sure that that is a base layer for all the world, all America. Like, if we're not able to have fun and try and play and do something new, like, we haven't yet achieved our human rights, literally, which I think is dope. So
That's awesome.